Hello, today I have a message called Just Stopping to Think of Miracles. Before I get going, I am experiencing a physical symptom today. So, excuse me, just spending some time looking at what I believe, what I think I'm experiencing, all that good stuff, and working my way through and out of it. And I'm sure this has everything to do with what I'm experiencing now. So, let's find out. Okay. When you notice an ego thought, you can remind yourself of this. That thought doesn't tell me anything about what I am, who I am, and why I am. Like the thought, I am sick. That thought doesn't tell me anything about what I am, who I am, and why I am. And whatever applies to me applies to everyone I'm calling someone else. If I experience an ego thought about someone I'm calling else, that thought's not going to feel good. And I can stop. And I can remind myself that thought doesn't tell me anything about what they are, who they are, and why they are. And that gives me the invitation to just sit in the truth of what they are, who they are, why they are, and I don't have to answer that in words or understand it or figure it out or say it to anybody else. It's more like an expanding resting place. It's like a place, I learned to go to this place and I learned to just sit and rest there, and I learned to allow it to expand. As I learned to allow it to expand, it takes over this space, which is what we are together, gets put in charge. And maybe along the way we go running back to fear because that's more familiar. And experiencing sickness or injury or something can be a symbol of you are running back to fear, but that's okay. Just look at what's in your mind. Rest in your resting place. Allow the expansion of your resting place. Watch your thoughts about everyone and everything. And whenever you need to, whenever I need to, reorient toward this beautiful, expanding resting place. And what becomes more beautiful and more inviting than anything the world could give me. Maybe it seems the world could give me attention or praise or money or things or pleasures like food pleasures or some kind of physical comfort. This is this expanding resting place where we just go to rest. It's completely different from anything the world could give me that I would call good, that I would call desirable. So it's really interesting to find this place, to learn to rest in this place, to learn to return to it, even when I've gone running back to fear. That's okay. Returning to it and resting is the most important thing. Okay, then the next part, think of waves outgoing to God, then incoming, clearing and cleansing perception through miracles, showing you in very obvious ways the innocence of all your divine siblings. So if we just think of waves going back and forth, just a helpful symbol, right? Everything gets used as a helpful symbol to help clear our minds, to help stop seeing what isn't here, to help us start seeing what is here, maybe first in symbolic representation, but also an inner knowing, inner remembering of what is here. So these waves going out to God and then incoming, they're just a symbol, just a helpful learning, teaching tool. And then they're clearing and they're cleansing. What needs to be cleared and cleansed? It's our perception. Anytime I don't feel good, I need a clearing, a cleansing, a correction of the perception. If you think about the waves of the ocean never stopping, and how you can just stand by the ocean and watch this constant outgoing, incoming, and to think of this as going on all the time. And when you stop to look at this outgoing, incoming, this cleansing, this correcting, then what do you have to worry about? And what is it that the waves take away and the waves bring back? They take away misperception. They bring in corrected perception. Now, corrected perception is just a symbol, but it'll get us there. We're destined for first corrected perception, then full remembrance of who we are together. So first corrected perception. And so those incoming waves are miracles. And those outgoing waves are the ego thoughts that we give to the light that don't have any meaning or value, that have been making our experience. But now new symbols come in, new symbols for us to perceive. We're still perceiving corrected perception, and the miracle brings them in. And if we just stand here at the edge of the ocean and understand miracles incoming, nothing to fear, let miracles do all the work. Miracles are incoming constantly. So we just allow ourselves to see them. We allow miracles incoming to show us in very obvious ways. What are they going to show us? What the ego wants to see? As far as the idea of manifesting something specific that your ego told you you wanted, you can get past that. You can get past that and get to, how about a direct reflection of the truth of all of us? How about once and for all, finally, seeing the truth, the innocence of all my divine siblings forever? How about that? Can miracles come in and show me this? And the whole time I'm talking, my hands going back and forth to symbolize these waves, just to kind of remind me the incoming and the outgoing. And so I need my perception corrected. And it can be corrected through the symbols I observe, the incoming waves. And they can show me in very obvious ways the innocence of all my divine siblings. Nothing's more important than that. If I can see that, I can see my innocence. If I can see that, everything the ego says I would want for any reason falls into place anyhow. What I really need is to see the truth about all my divine siblings, to see their right now innocence. Nothing's more important than that. And listen to the ego tell you about what you need, and notice how it feels. When you think you need something, but that thought about needing it doesn't feel good, notice how it feels. That's an ego thought. That's not your thought. Or I should say, that's not my thought. Okay, so there is a deep calm that is the true nature of everyone and everything you call else. So we can seem to see a lot of things in our day in terms of things and people. And it can seem that they all have many different qualities. And some of the things in the people, or maybe most of them, that you encounter during the day, you might not realize that their true nature deep within them is what all of them really is. I'm not sure what words I'm supposed to use in terms of usage and grammar. What they really are. That deep calm, if you go far enough into anyone or anything, that's their whole being. That's your whole being. So what's all this stuff on the surface? Well, it's the fear I projected out in order to see different opposing things, in order to see strife. It came from me? Yeah, it came from me. I projected it out, and then I experienced it as you. But if I go far enough into you, past my fear projection, into the beingness of you, here is where the deep calm is. And if it's in you, it has to be in me. That's the way I remember myself, is by going into you. And I'm speaking of minds. Minds are connected, and there aren't any private thoughts, and there aren't any true barriers between minds. But ego puts up barriers between minds and wants to preserve them. And I can understand this, and I can watch my mind wanting to put up boundaries, and I don't have to force myself not to put up the boundary, but I can look at the thoughts that make up the boundary every day as much as I can, and then let the action of the human follow from that work. So I never have to force myself not to put up boundaries, but I can always look at the thoughts that are making up the boundary. And ego's whole justification argument for why a boundary is needed. So going back, there's a deep calm that is the true nature of everyone and everything you call else. Everything else, everything other than this deep calm that is the truth about everyone and everything. An example in my mind, think of a car I would call obnoxious. Some cars that seem to me to have a very obnoxious demeanor. So I'm tempted to judge. But if I go deep into the true beingness of that thing, of what beingness really is anywhere it shows up, the truth of that is deep calm. And I can allow my perception to be corrected to show me the truth of everything. And I don't know how that's going to look. I never do. We never do when we're right on the edge of letting go of the old and letting the new come in. We never do. But this faith and trust builds where we can let it in. This back and forth. That's always here for us, and our only problem is we try to block the back and forth because we're trying to hold things still. Ego's version of still, kind of frozen in being limited, frozen in a dedication to death, frozen in a dedication to strife. Okay, so everything else is your own guilt projected. I put it out there, right? Experienced with physical senses. So think of everything I experience with physical senses today. It can go two ways. Either it's part of the process of symbolically, with perception, with corrected perception, guiding me through and out of the nightmare I made, or it's reinforcing the nightmare I made, and I can tell by how I feel. So knowing that I am in charge of which way my mind's pointed and what perception is doing, whether I see corrected or uncorrected perception, that puts me in a position where I'm in charge of the mind. While I seem to be here in time and space, I'm in charge of the mind. And I'm in charge of putting the mind under the control of what we all are together. So I have to take charge. I have to be in charge up to a point. And then after that point, that sense of separate self-control dissolves. But before it does, I do have to be in charge. And if you've heard of spiritual teachers talking about being vigilant, that's what I'm talking about. I have to be in charge. I have to be responsible. But after that point, the sense of separate responsibility is allowed to dissolve. So first one, then the other. Okay, so everything other than our seeing a symbolic representation of the true nature of everyone and everything we call else is our own guilt projected, experienced with physical senses, and felt according to ego's limited up-down scale of emotion. And here's where the limits are. Ego can tell you you're happy because you got your way, you're satisfied, because things seem to be lined up and supporting your separate sense of you. And ego can tell you that you didn't get what you wanted, and that you're diminished and you're victimized, you're abused, you're ignored. Ego can, or you're not good enough, or you're a bad agent in the world doing bad things. Ego can find all kinds of ways to diminish and condemn you. And then ego's sense of feeling, I'm up, I'm happy, I'm satisfied, I got what I wanted, I'm down, I'm downtrodden, I'm not getting what I want, I'm cut off, I'm victimized, or I'm bad, I'm an aggressor, I'm a bad person in this world. It's all the same. Ego's delivery system of its drug, whether it's up or it's down, it's the same addictive drug. And then way over here, let's pretend it's away from ego, because symbolically, physically, that's the use of the symbol. Okay, here's the simple joy that you are. The goodness without opposite that you are. And the key that I'm finding is I become devoted to everyone and everything I call else. I call not me. You can be devoted to a used, crumpled up tissue. You can be devoted to a Christmas stocking. You can be devoted to a piece of poop you see in the toilet. I tried to think of something we call gross, okay? And I don't mean in the sense you get weird and worship it, but in the sense of if you get right through the surface of it, any use anybody would make of it in the world, any up-down value it seems to have for anyone in the world, and you just get to what is its true nature. And I started with the objects because that seems a little weird, but let's cover everything. And now let's go to the people and the organizations and the ideas and anything you would call a separate thing. If you get right to the kernel of it and you want nothing more than to finally remember the joy that's at the heart of everything, no matter what it is, no matter who it is, no matter what the personality seems to be, no matter what the past for that person seems to be. All you want to remember is their innocence, their holiness, their joy. That's all you want. Then joy is here for you because joy is everywhere. A lesson in A Course in Miracles is God is in everything I see because God is in my mind. If you think of us as all minds connected without any barriers but having invented them, that's what we are. And we return to that experience of ourselves. And it's not a hive mind in the sense of some outside hostile entity or outside beneficent where others could be hostile entity controlling it. It's more like the harmony of all that is, the goodness, the truth of the goodness without opposite that all are. It's more like that. If you want to see nothing but that anymore, then it's allowed to wash in. But as we're getting in the hang of it, sometimes we fight it and we run back to the perceived safety of fear rather than resting in the allowing. So that's what I'm learning right now, how to rest in the allowing of the incoming wave of the miracle, and how to rest and allow that outgoing wave to go, to take the ego thoughts to the light within. And then bring that light within back to all of us. So there is an equality. Wait, I'm not sure if I don't know if I said this part. All of this can be cleansed just to show you truth. So any situation in which we are, and I forget to do it often, but I love it when I hear it again, and I love it when I stop to remember. Any situation in which we find ourselves can be dedicated to truth, peace, and sanity. And the more I can focus toward that with no expectation and just a willingness to follow, the easier it is, no matter what the situation seems to be. Every situation can be dedicated to truth, peace, and sanity. And then peace and happiness is the outcome of that, but not the type of happiness that would satisfy an ego. More like a remembering of the joy that you and all you call other are. And we've always had glimmers and sparkles of this in our experience, because you can't block light out entirely. In this pretending, this massive pretending we're doing, we're pretty good at blocking the light out, but we can't block it out entirely. So there are always glimmers and sparkles of the joy we all are together, which has nothing to do with ego's ups, ego's satisfaction and happiness, that it got what it wanted for its separate self. If there are separate things, those are two separate things. Okay, there is an equality within everything that is the truth of everything. Now, is it the truth of my perception? No. Because I think A Course in Miracles says somewhere, it doesn't mean equality now. But if we go deep into what the now is, like the true being, our being is equality. So if you go into the deep now, yes, we are equal. But if you go into the perceived time and space limited now? No, you can be honest about that. Nothing looks equal. Of course it doesn't. But what to do? What to do? Strive to make the appearance of it look equal? Probably not. We've done probably a lot of work in that direction and understood that it's always a failure. So if we instead tune into the equality that is within everything, that is the truth of everything, then if we go back to those waves, outgoing, letting your ego thoughts go to the light within, incoming, letting the light within being returned in the form of miracles that correct your perception and show you the divine innocence and holiness and joy, the truth of everyone and everything you call else, then these incoming miracles, they correct your perception literally. If you are making with thought what you perceive and experience always, then thought can come in that makes what you perceive and experience. The change in the perception is that easy. And I can be told this and I can seem to understand it, but to live it seems to be a step further. And that's what's here for us, the day by day, moment by moment instruction and guidance in how to live that and how to allow the miracles to wash in and to correct the perception. And so miracles bring our equality and our divine nature into prominence. If I'm going to spend time judging you, especially up or especially down, I'm going to delay the incoming of the miracles that would just show me very obviously and very easily the prominent, beautiful truth of everyone and everything together. So just stopping to think of miracles helps a lot. And I'm noticing this. Just stop. It's opportunity. If I don't feel good, my eventual destination is miracles. There are some steps first if I don't feel good. I can't just ignore that feeling. I have to understand the cause of this feeling is not a condition or a defect with someone or something out there or a problem with the world. The cause of my feeling is my belief in the ego thought that literally made my experience, gave me my emotions, my up-down ego emotions, right? And similarly, the divine thoughts that come in also give you your joy, your deep calm, your peace. They uncover what's always here and they make it obvious to you. So those divine thoughts incoming, those miracles, those perception correctors are also here for us if we allow them. So if I stop and I find the thought I believed and I let the outgoing wave take it into the light within us all, and then I stop to think of miracles, those are the incoming waves, not something bad coming to get us, not punishment coming for someone that the ego says deserves punishment. And remember, if the ego says someone deserves punishment and you believe it, then you believe you deserve punishment. And so one of those incoming waves will, because of the dedication and the devotion to ego, will seem to deliver what the ego calls punishment to you. And hey, I got sick, right? Or I seem to have, that's my experience. And so I can look at all the thoughts that I believe every time I don't feel good physically or emotionally. And I can stop and think of miracles and what's always incoming as I allow it. What's here for all of us. Miracles, the very natural solution to any problem that we perceive. And just stopping to rest there, even if I still do experience a physical symptom, just stopping to rest there and look at it, it seems to be very helpful. It seems to bring happiness and not satisfaction. That's a good way to tell the difference between ego happiness and in our actual happiness is it's not satisfying, but it's fulfilling. It's like looking at your whole beautiful expanse of being and knowing it is you and it is everyone else. It's fulfilling, it's beautiful, but it's not satisfying because there's no lack to be satisfied. So I'll be taking this advice, just stopping to think of miracles. And what I've been reorienting toward is this holy instant when I give to you. Be you in charge, for I would follow you. Certain your direction gives me peace. So the direction of those incoming waves that can correct perception and show us the truth of all of us, without exception, they give us peace. And peace is joy, is real happiness. Okay, I think that's it for me. Wishing you well. Thank you.